I feel like I was born to be a mom.
It's a very human trait to want to have a child and see your genes in that child.
I always knew that I wanted to have kids, and I knew that being in a relationship with a woman wasn't going to stop me.
I thought, oh, I should get pregnant like this, you know, and I was so dumbfounded. I was like, what?
It's just such a hard, emotional roller coaster you're on.
Now comes the torturous 11-day countdown.
At first I was like, you know, why me? I mean, life's not fair. I'm ready for it to just tell me one way or another.
I've done the maximum that I can do to try to improve my chances of having a baby in the future.
When I first met Kim and Trevor, they came with the same anxiety and frustrations that I see with all patients who come to me for the first time. You know, they've been trying for over a year to get pregnant. Everything seemed to be working, but they had not yet achieved a pregnancy.
I met Kim online. She saw my picture and, you know, there it goes.
After probably a week of dating, I was sizing him up to be like, could be, you know, husband material, father material. We started talking about a wedding and what we wanted, and we got married 6 months later. It was pretty much on our first date, like, how many kids do you want? When do you want to start? We pretty much started trying to have a child when we got married.
We are mammals, and there is an innate and an instinctual drive to procreate. I think it's a very human trait to want to have a child and see your genes in that child. Every year in the United States, about 4.5 million babies are born, and in the world, 130 million babies are born.
My sisters got pregnant so fast, so I assumed that was going to happen to me as well.
90% of women will be pregnant after 1 year of regular unprotected intercourse. For a woman to have normal fertility, she has to ovulate regularly, she has to have a good egg pool or egg count, and open fallopian tubes in a normal uterus.
I recommend that around the time of ovulation, they should have intercourse every day. Now, I don't think they should have it 3 to 4 times a day, because I think then you will start dropping your sperm count.
And a man has to have a normal semen analysis, which takes into account the count of sperm, the motility or the way they swim, and how they're shaped.
When we first started trying to have a baby, it was fun. But as we got closer to that year mark, and I was checking my ovulation, my temperature, doing everything I could, you know, on our own, the romance got a little lost.
It's actually kind of hard to have intercourse on demand when the ultimate goal is to impregnate the person you're having the intercourse with. A lot of stress.
Infertility has been classically defined as a couple who've been attempting to conceive for 12 months and who have been unsuccessful. Frankly, though, if someone's beyond the age of 34 or 35, we really recommend that we shorten that interval to perhaps 6 months.
When I first saw Kim and Trevor, they had already tried intrauterine inseminations a few times with their gynecologist. It's a procedure where a plastic catheter is placed in the cervix and millions of sperm are injected into the uterine cavity and fallopian tube to fertilize the waiting egg.
You can get a 20 to 40-fold increase in the number of sperm that reach the uterus by doing intrauterine insemination. You've also bypassed the cervix if there are any type of hostile cervical issues.
This first one, I was hopeful. The second one, I was like, I don't know. And the last IUI, I wasn't even hopeful a little bit. You feel like just devastated and overwhelmed, and you know, that it's just not natural.
After meeting with Kim and Trevor, we ran a few additional tests. We looked at Trevor's semen analysis, and it was found to be normal. We looked at Kim's egg reserve, which is one of the most important things to look at, and that was normal. We also looked at Kim's uterus using an ultrasound and found some fibroids, but they weren't in a location that worried me.
We had to decide if we wanted to do another IUI with him or an IVF.
IVF stands for in vitro fertilization, and it's a term used to describe a series of steps that ultimately lead to the production of embryos outside the body. And the goal is to actually create multiple embryos so we can increase the chance of pregnancy.
Since only a fraction of eggs are normal, then if we can get more eggs, we can increase the chance that we'll get a normal embryo to take to the uterus.
Given Kim's young age and normal egg count testing, I told him they had a 50-50 chance.